Satan tried to get me. Walk in my shoes, devil trying to fit me. But he don't know I got the power fit me. Nah, he don't know I got the power. On my life, Satan tried to get me. Walk in my shoes, devil trying to fit me. But he don't know I got the power fit me. Nah, he don't know I walk in power fit me.
Good evening, it's your man H-Bob coming at you. This is Into the Bench Media. This is Build and Destroy. Thank you for tuning in. Hit that like, hit that share, tell a friend and tell a friend. Hit that like, hit that like, hit that like. Thank you. It is important. We have another episode of Build and Destroy where I attempt to build up the community and destroy the lies and the propaganda that surround our community. Thank you once again for being a part of my Tuesday evening. Now, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. This is the beginning of a new day. With that being said, I want to thank you for tuning in. As you know, every week I thank my parents. Without them, there is no End of the Bench, and there is no Brian H. Rap B. Williams. Point blank. Period. End of sentence. So thank you to Lois and John. Now, what I want to do is let's discuss as we do every week. I'm going to discuss some of the policies. We're going to discuss what's been going on in the week and what I feel is important and germane to the success of our community. Now, with that being said, what I want you to do is understand that the title does play a role in it. It's called No Man's Land, Souls of Mischief. And I used the thumbnail of one of my favorite albums simply because it fits what I'm talking about this week. And that's what I'm doing going forward. I'm going to cater these things to what I want to talk about. Now, no man's land. The definition of no man's land is a strip of land in between two warring fractions. We are the strip of land. The Black community is the strip of land. How are we a strip of land? And we're a strip of land because they're fighting over our vote at this point. Not far, maybe a quarter mile from my house. The Democratic National Convention is taking place where you will have people like Vice President Kamala Harris, her potential Vice President Waltz, and other Democratic dignitaries speaking about why we should roll with them and why we should not roll with the other party, which is the Republican Party. Some people go as far as calling the White Nationalist Party. Now, with this being said, what I want you to understand is this. We are in a position of no man's land. We don't have a party that will represent us. We do not have a situation that is going to be advantageous to us totally under no circumstances up until and including we create our own entity. They have the Democratic National Convention. They've already had the Republican National Convention. And we need something in the Black community to galvanize us and put us in an advantageous situation. The problem with that is this. We have smelled the aroma of capitalism and we have grown to like it. Anytime you grow to like a system that has been inflicted upon you and you make up the statements like I'm a capitalist or this is a capitalist situation. Well, you can only participate as a group in a capitalistic situation and that is if you have a game plan of your own. You cannot enter a capitalistic situation and say, hey, this is what we need to do. We're going to go inside and then we're going to infiltrate and we're going to destroy it from the inside out. Because let's just be honest, people are corruptible. And when you put impoverished or people who are part of a struggle in a position to whereas they can be bought, paid, and, lock, stock, and barrel, this is what's going to happen. You're going to have people, quote unquote, sell out. And when you have people sell out, you're going to have people who are at the bottom. They're going to continue to suffer. You're going to have people who are being purchased. They're going to come out and get you to continue to war against these certain situations. The Republicans are no good and the Democrats are no good. And say, we need to go over here. We need to do this. First and foremost, what is the game plan for us? See, I don't care what the Democratic National Convention is going on, what they have to say. I don't care what the Republican National Convention said. What we need to do is worry about what the Black community is going to do. And again, as I stated, we have smelled the aroma of capitalism. You see the way the Oprah Winfrey's and the Bob Johnsons and other multi-millionaire people and they live in these lavish lives, and you want a part of that. You don't want to just get up and breathe every day. You want to live. So Hey man, how are you going to do this without capitalism? You do it without capitalism with group economics. Have that be your initial point blank period starting point. That is where your ground zero is. Group economics. There's enough people in this country that look like you and I that if we practice group economics, what we would do is create a base. And once you create a base, it becomes a buyer and seller situation. We purchase their goods, we repackage their goods, and we distribute them to our communities while that money is circulating through your community, growing businesses exponentially in your community, and make that be the most important situation. Because without finances, you will have no power. Money gains you power in a system that is capitalistic. They want you to buy into this concept of all tides. A tide lifts all boats. But if you're at the bottom, that means the only thing you would do is continue to push them up and you will go up. Yeah, at some point you'll have yourself a situation to where as you and your people will be comfortable. Now, if you go into exclusively group economics, if you focus on group economics, what happens is this. You could potentially buy in bulk. You buy in bulk. This is the theory behind what I'm saying. You buy in bulk. When you buy in bulk, you set the price. You set the price that'll be advantageous to your community. Now it's advantageous to your community and it's lifting the boats in your community. Not any other boats are lifting because those goods have to be sold on the other side. So all they're doing is maintaining. You take those goods and bring them to your community, and then you distribute them. You distribute them equally. And once you distribute them equally, the boats in your community become stronger, and they become more wide and more prepared to fight the rigors of the ocean per se. So once we get to that point, and then at that point, we can engage with the Democrats or the Republicans or the Independents or the Green Party, or whoever wants to engage with us. But we can no longer put ourselves in a position to whereas we owe them and they owe us. Let's not focus on what people owe us. Let's focus on building our situation. See, again, when you get that aroma of capitalism, what you do is you fall back into a parental situation. See, it's easy to live in your parents' house. It's easy to live around people who are going to automatically take care of you, but you are under their thumb. You are under their thumb. When you're under someone's thumb, it's an extremely uncomfortable situation. So now you're arguing about your 36-year-old women getting murdered by police officers. Then you have people in the name of capitalism defending that police officer, defending the rules that are unequivocally designed to oppress people like you and other working class individuals in this country. So when you're looking at these situations, what you're going to do is find yourself in a situation that is not advantageous to you and anybody who looks like you. See, we can buy into capitalism and we can buy into the Republican Party. And the Democratic Party ain't done nothing for us. I got a question for you. I got two questions for you, actually. The first question being this: what is the Republican Party prepared for you? See, we always say, what are the Democrats going to do for us? We've given them, the first question is, what if the Republicans promised you? Absolutely nothing, because they don't have to promise you anything. It is literally like being in a disruptive relationship. And all you do is identify if you're the interloper in the midst of this disruptive relationship, you just remind the other individual what is not being done. You never have to promise them anything because they're focusing on, they are not. This person has never promised you anything. They're just telling you what's wrong with you and not even giving you the ability to fix it. Now, on the other hand, you got other people smoozing you, making it, hey, but you are comfortable. Again, as I stated at the top of the program, what we're going to have to do is stop breathing. We need to start living. Breathing means surviving. Surviving is existing. No one wants to exist on earth. We need to start living. And how we start living is this: we create a program for us. We create a situation for us. How can H-Rap and his lady and their children get aboard and get above board? And then once we get there, how do we get this high? And once we get this high, how do we get this high? And in the midst of that, we're lifting our children, we're lifting our cousins, nieces, nephews, siblings, and so forth and so on. That's how we live this life. I don't care what letter is behind you, if it's a elephant or a donkey, if it's a blue or a red or anything in between. I don't care. What our community, in my opinion, has failed to do is construct a plan for our community. We can no longer work in the midst of America. We must work in the midst of Black people, and then we will expand. And once we get a solid foundation, then at that point, we will identify. We already know what the problems are over there. We know what the problems are over here. And the best way to fix the problem, hey, if I have acne on my face, if I have dirty hair and horrible skin and body odor, we know how to rectify that. Now, the question is, how do we get ourselves in a situation to whereas we never get to that point again? We never focus on us. We focus on the American way. I don't care who's in charge. It needs to be the focus on us. If you take a step back, remove all the emotions, and look throughout the landscape of the United States, every community in the United States has their own base. The Ukraine Village on Grand and Chicago Avenue, right by the house. They're right by the place I live right now, less than a quarter mile away, just going north. The Puerto Rican community, just a little further north than that. And you go the same distance south, it's the Mexican community, the second largest shopping district in in Chicago, Illinois. You have just to the east of that, you have Chinatown. And I can break up each neighborhood. Look, I'm going to show you how severe this is. When you go to Chinatown, and in the event that you have a craving for Chinese food, and you go to Chinatown here in Chicago, most of the menus are not in English. 85 to 90% of the menus are not in English. That means we are our own situation. They have Chinese grocery stores. Do you even understand this? Walgreens is in Mandarin. The inside the Walgreens is not, but the sign is in Mandarin. It's in Chinese, it's in Asian writing. This is what I want you to understand. I'm not saying that we need our own language, and we're not going to go that far, but they are maintaining. And it is not a community as big as the West or the South Side of Chicago, where primarily most of the Black people in Chicago live. And I'm quite sure there's a lot of things in your community the same way, no matter what part of this country you live in, no matter what part of the United States you live in. So what we have to do is communicate to our elected officials, because they are civil servants. That means they serve the civilians. That means you being a civilian, they work for you. And you get the funds from the federal government, and then you make those funds work for you as all the other communities have done. All the time you spend watching basketball and watching football and buying jerseys and buying sneakers and anything else to support your favorite athlete and or actor from your community or otherwise in these United States. What we have to do is start talking to the coaches and say, hey, your son or daughter, this young man or this young lady or this person is going to be a multimillionaire. We're going to get behind them. But we need to start educating those young people on how to come back and invest in our communities. These guys are making $300 million. It's like one salute to the young man from the Boston Celtics side out of Atlanta, Georgia, Jaylen Brown. He says he's taking his $300 million and going to recreate a Black Wall Street. And that's what we need to do. See, no politician can give you that power. You can reinvest. You can go out of your way to support the companies in your community. Now, it's easy to stand around and say what our community doesn't have. Another mind state we must regress from. We can no longer look at our community and identify what's wrong. Every entity in these United States of America has poor customer service. They have angry employees, disregarding employees. All this is not germane to the Black community. But you accept it when it's not. Well, we should expect better from each other. Well, you know what? You should also afford each other grace. That's what I need us to get to the point where we afford each other grace. Now, when you afford other people grace, in your community. That means when they make mistakes, you can afford to have them make that mistake. When one of their employees has an attitude, you can either talk to that person, or you can talk to a member of management, or you can call back later that day or even the next day and say, "I speak to the store manager." See, let's start addressing things instead of just getting angry and getting disgruntled and no longer supporting that industry. I'm not telling you to accept substandard uh, um, customer service and substandard food or whatever the service that is required from that person. We are not asking for that. What I'm asking you is this: address it accordingly, and then we can nip it in the bud and we can move forward. Are you foolish enough to believe that there are not some people in these other communities throughout the United States of America that are disenchanted with the people that the way they behave at their restaurants? Indeed, they are. They're not on social media complaining about it, making videos to profit, using, again, you're going to go to social media and you're going to complain about something from our community, teaching people how to attack us in our community, letting the enemy of our community understand that they're still disjointed. The dude named Jamal Green, and it's a guy named Roland Martin. Roland Martin is a national figure, owns his own station. He owns his own network called the Black Star Network. Jamal Green is a community activist here in Chicago. He has the potential to be the next mayor of the city of Chicago. Him and Roland Martin gets into it, and it goes viral on the internet. We no longer have the liberty to do that, because now, guess what? You got people who I believe, are paid plants, but because they only show up every 4 years. They show up right before the election. They show up the February before the election, and they denigrate one party. And then from that point on, you don't see them the day after. You don't see them the month after. You don't see them in March. They disappear for another 4 years. And explain to me, why is it that happens? If that's a reoccur, if it's a coincidence, it's something. Hey man, maybe we need to have conversation. If it's a reoccurring thing, it's a pattern, and that is a problem. Anytime you have a pattern of that nature, it's a problem. And that's what we have to get away from. We must start galvanizing our community, organizing our community, and then moving forward. Organizations beat systems. Individuals can't. No matter how popular this program gets, I'm talking about 8, 10, 12, 20 million people a week. If I get to the point where I have to go live every day, I'm not going to defeat anything. It's going to take you, I, and your community, and my community, all the people that look like us, no matter where they're from. And then, and only then, will we be successful. We can no longer worry about who's your father and who's this person's mother. If you down, you're down. And I'm not recruiting anyone to the cause, because recruiting people to the cause is what destroyed the great Dr. Martin Luther King and destroyed the great Malcolm X, because they recruited a ton of people into a situation. And once that situation came to a head, people attempted to destroy them. What they did destroy them, and their movements were died. Their movements died right with them. Even our great brother Fred Hampton. See, we can no longer ask people to come help. If you look like me and you are down for the cause of the people that look like me, what I'm gonna need you to do is this: you are going to have to do everything you can to keep your circle tight and not allow other people to come in and damage your game plan. We can have several different plans in regards to moving this community forward. I continue to say every week, stop worrying about what somebody's doing in their private life, who they pray to, who they lay with, who they laugh and joke with, who they eat with. If they are for the betterment of this community, you are going to have to do everything you can to make sure the community is comfortable. Now, as I've said jokingly, and I'm dead serious with it, I've said it in the past jokingly, but I'm dead serious with it this time. What I need you to do is, once we all become multi-billionaires, then we can sit down and have a discussion who's right and who's wrong. Up until then, we need to identify the enemy. We have met the enemy. We are theirs. We are in the midst of people attempting to destroy everything about us and around us, and we're arguing about minimal things. Raise your people, uplift your community. Guess what? I'm a rare individual in the United States of America that comes from the inner cities of America in the United States. I'm a guy who's never even tried marijuana. but 99% of my friends have. 99% of my friends are avid marijuana users. About 90% of my friends are avid marijuana users. But guess what? Due to my upbringing and the conversations that me and my parent had, for whatever reason, I didn't try it. I didn't try. I didn't like the concept of being pressured into something. And on my 16th birthday, people tried to pressure me and it annoyed me, and I never went back. I luckily was never approached, and so therefore I didn't fall in that category. I didn't fall in that category. But what I want you to understand is this. The reason I'm bringing that up is I was raised properly. So I didn't make all of the mistakes I could have. It was always a boundary. I ran up to, it's a gray area between breaking the rules and staying in boundaries of the rules. I lived in that gray area, but I also understood that if something was wrong, I would walk up to the fence, but I wouldn't cross or jump over the fence. And the things that I did jump over the fence on, guess what? I had the blessings from the God Almighty to say, hey, I'm not doing that anymore. I'm not going to ever do that. So again, bringing that up because if we are raising our children, talking to and not talking at, having honest conversations with our children, nothing convoluted and disjointed that these children won't understand. Stop talking at them, start talking to them, listen to them, not just waiting on them to stop talking so you can tell them where they're wrong. And at that point, we'll continue to raise our children. Our children can be the best people possible. So all this television ruining your children and video games and rap music and movies ruining our children. Guess what? I grew up at the beginning of the rap era. As I was maturing, coming of age, rap was coming. It was coming to fruition. I walked through the NWA years, the CMW years, the Ghetto Boys, and all that nonsense. But I also had Public Enemy. I also had X Clan, MC Light, LL Cool J, so forth and so on. So you must have balance in your life at all times. Just much like a plate of food. I had a meat, a vegetable, a starch. I had water to drink. I had everything, all the nutrients that they said that digestive pyramid that they created. Those things were on my plate every morning, every night, and it helped me have a healthy youth. Now, as I stray away from that, I gained weight and so forth and so on. But I always have that pyramid to fall back on. So now more fruit, more vegetable, more exercise, so forth and so on, and I'm a healthier individual. Again, referencing the Bible as I do every week. You train your child properly and they will always return to the way you train them. Stop yelling at your children. Your children are not animals. They're not idiots. They are young, developing individuals with their own personality. So you must address them in accordance to who they are, not in accordance to the way you were raised. That's for newsflash. Your parents and my parents didn't have it all right. They had most of it right, but guess what? Evolution allows you to grow and uplift. If you learn from your parents' mistakes, and your children are going to learn from your mistakes, and so forth and so on. So what we need to do is take a step back in history, and I'm going to show you this video right now. And look at this video, and you will see what I'm talking about. If you've never heard of this, this is a problem. And this is one of the things that I'm talking about. We need to understand who we are, where we are, and where we're going in order to move forward. I am HYB. Check this out. I'll be back in 6 minutes.
August, a month bathed in the heat of summer, where the days are long and the sun blazes high in the sky. But for us, it holds a different kind of fire, one that burns with the intensity of our history and our struggle. It is Black August, a time for solemn reflection and fierce remembrance, a period dedicated to honoring our past. We honor the lives and legacies of those who fought tirelessly for Black liberation. We remember their sacrifices, their courage, and their unwavering resolve. We carry their torch forward, lighting the way for future generations. Black August is a call to action, a reminder that the fight for justice is far from over. It urges us to confront the brutal history of oppression faced by Black people, to acknowledge the pain and the resilience. It's a time to educate ourselves and others about the ongoing fight against systemic racism and the mass incarceration of our communities, to learn, to grow, and to act. Black August emerged from the crucible of struggle. It was born in the belly of the beast, the California prison system, during the 1970s. This period witnessed a surge of Black political consciousness. Incarcerated individuals, transformed into revolutionaries, challenged the brutal conditions they faced.
Key figures like George Jackson, a brilliant revolutionary mind, helped ignite this movement.
His brother, Jonathan Jackson, gave his life in a valiant attempt to free George and other imprisoned comrades.
Their sacrifices became the cornerstone of Black August, a testament to unwavering commitment and love. August is a month etched with the dates of pivotal events in Black history. It is a time to reflect on the struggles and triumphs that have shaped the journey towards freedom and equality. The Haitian Revolution, ignited by the Vodou ceremony, Bois Caiman, stands as a monumental event in the fight against oppression. It serves as a beacon of successful Black liberation, showing the world that unity and resilience can overthrow even the most entrenched systems of slavery.
Closer to home, Nat Turner's rebellion reminds us of the courage it takes to confront injustice head-on. His uprising in 1831 was a powerful statement against the brutal institution of slavery.
The deaths of George and Jonathan Jackson, who were prominent figures in the struggle for Black liberation, along with other slain freedom fighters like Fred Hampton, highlight the sacrifices made in the name of justice and equality. These sacrifices add a poignant layer to August's tapestry, reminding us of the high cost of freedom. These dates are not just markers of loss, but also of resilience and hope. They serve as reminders of the unwavering spirit of resistance that has been passed down through generations and continues to fuel the fight for justice today. The legacy of these events lives on in the ongoing struggle for equality and human rights.
Beyond the bars, Black August's message for today. Black August's message transcends the physical boundaries of prison walls. It speaks to the systemic racism deeply ingrained in our society.
It reminds us of the school-to-prison pipeline, the economic disparities, and the police brutality that disproportionately impact Black communities. It's a call to dismantle these systems of oppression.
We must work towards a future where Black lives are no longer unjustly confined, but celebrated and nurtured in their full potential. Honoring our legacy, the importance of remembrance. Remembering is a radical act.
In a world that seeks to erase our pain and diminish our struggle, remembering becomes an act of defiance. By honoring the sacrifices of those who came before us, we keep their spirits alive.
We owe it to them and to ourselves to never forget. We must learn from their struggles, draw inspiration from their resilience, and continue the fight for true liberation.
Keeping the spirit alive, your call to action. Black August is not just a month of remembrance, it's a call to action, a time to reflect on our history and to take meaningful steps forward. Each one of us has a role to play in keeping the spirit of Black August alive. Educate yourself and others. Dive into the rich history of Black resistance and resilience. Support organizations fighting for prison reform and racial justice. Your contributions, whether time, money, or resources, can make a significant impact. Challenge systems of oppression in your everyday life. Speak out against injustice whenever you see it, and encourage others to do the same. Use your voice, your platform, your talents. No act is too small. Share information, create art, write articles, or simply have conversations that matter. Together, let's honor the sacrifices of the past by building a future worthy of their dreams. Let's create spaces where our communities can thrive. Let's make Black August a catalyst for real, lasting change. Organize events, participate in discussions, and be proactive in your community. Let's keep the fire burning. Let the light of Black August guide us towards a brighter, more just future.
As I stated, thank you for tuning in. This is Brian Williams, Brian B. Williams, Build and Destroy on the End of the Bench Media. Thank you for tuning in. Hit that like, hit that share. If you haven't already, thank you for tuning in. It is important that you do so. As you saw, Black August is something that has been around at least as long as I've been on Earth, and I've been on Earth for quite a bit of time now. What I want you to understand is this: we are in a situation to whereas we need to galvanize our communities and stop trying to be part of the American system, because the American system puts us in no man's land. We don't have a country. We don't have a parliament. We don't have anything and anybody fighting for our rights. We are just part of a system that is a caste system, a caste. If you don't know what a caste system is, it is keeping you in one place. You may move up a little bit, but as you see, as my hands are moving up, if they stay in the caste, they never get to do this and they never get to do that. And that's what I'm asking you to do. Participate in the betterment of you and use the laws of the land to get yourself in that situation. Now, one of the things that I'm talking about is a lot of people are, hey man, this Project 2025. That is a real situation. And that group is the Heritage Group. And that group, if you are old enough to remember Reaganomics all but destroyed the Black American population. It kicked a bone out of our behinds. If you don't understand that the R&B, not rhythm and blues, it's the Reagan and Bush era. The Reagan and Bush era did so much destruction to the Black community, and we're still suffering the ills of it today. Crack cocaine was introduced to the world. This is not a situation that was just introduced. We just called it something else. It was called free-based cocaine. And at that point, it was known as the rich man's drug. It was devalued. It was put into our communities along with military-style weapons. If you think that's a joke, just explain to me how. Just if you don't believe it, all I want you to do is, most of us know someone who participated in nefarious activities, whether it be the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s, or even today. What I want you to do is understand this. Talk to some of those people from back in the day, some of your old school uncles, and understand how most of those guys had 38s. And all of a sudden you start having 9mm, and then you start having semi-automatic military issued weapons. Now, if you know anything about the military, everything is counted. Every bean is counted, every bullet is counted, every pistol is counted. So please explain to me how people like my homeboy who in the chat room, D Greatest, he's from Los Angeles, and he's heard a story about a train being left unattended with semi-automatic weapons. My man Anthony, DJ Mad Knox, he is from New Jersey. He heard the same story. I've heard the same story. We communicated amongst each other and had the same story to tell. And then in 1989, you have Oliver North on television confessing that he had to fund the communistic fight that was going on in Central America, fighting off the Russians. They used drugs that were brought to the United States of America, put in South Central Los Angeles, put in Washington, D.C., put in Detroit, put across the South, and put in here in Illinois and throughout the Midwest, and use those people, us, to fund the war to fight the Russian and the Sandinistan people and the Russians. Also giving this guy by the name Osama bin Laden the ability to fight the Russians out of the mountains in Afghanistan, just so happened to be where they put the poppy seeds. I mean, where the poppy seeds are being grown. And can't think of the ingredients for heroin, but who really needs to know the ingredients of heroin? But you understand what I'm talking about. Poppy seeds is cocaine. Can't think of the plant that they use to create heroin. Where bin Laden was defending, that's where they got most of the heroin. It's just ironic that these things happen. Another place that you've seen movies with Frank Lucas and others is shipping heroin from Vietnam. These are not coincidental incidences. We must get to the point where we need to catch things before they happen to us instead of being reactionary. Project 2025, here's just 2 things that they want to do away with in Project 2025 that you may think, oh man, it ain't that serious. How could that really affect me? That's going to affect them. No, there's never been a situation to whereas laws are going to be changed and they're going to affect working class and poor and middle class people where Black people didn't get kicked in the face. Everybody else might have been kicked in the behind. We get kicked in the face. It's an old adage or a bromide that says when white people get a cold, Black people get pneumonia. So with that being said, why is it that you have your former president, Donald J. Trump, saying he wants to do away with the Department of Justice? Think about this. The Department of Justice has incarcerated more people that were shipped over here in enslavement ships. There were more people incarcerated than were shipped over here from the great country, from the great continent of Africa, from to South and North America, and all those people that were shipped over here for slave labor, it was been more people incarcerated. 25% of the incarcerated population in the world is right here in the United States of America, and we make up over 60% of that population. That does not mean we are doing more crime. That means we're being policed more. So why would you want to do away with that? You know why you want to do away with that? Because the Department of Justice also stops things like monopolies. You heard Vice President Harris approach the world with an economic plan, and she said she was going to do what she did in California: start suing tech companies, so your phone won't be $10 billion when it only costs $8 to make it. She starts suing. That means your cable bill won't be high as the cloud in the sky. That means remember before the pandemic and as she stated, those trade embargoes stopped and people couldn't get things flowing around the world like they used to, and then the prices on all your goods went up. Why are those prices still high? They shouldn't be, because those things have been ratified. But the Department of Justice will sue a company like they did in 1989 or 1987. Sorry, 1987, when AT&T used to house Sprint and Verizon, and all those individual phone companies used to be under the umbrella of AT&T. They busted up that. That was done by the Department of Justice. See, now you can't overcharge for phone bills because it's called competition. And when you're dealing with a true capitalistic society, competition is one. It is the number one situation, because if everybody has an opportunity to get the customers, that means you can't overcharge for the exact same services. Now, another thing, your food prices will go down because Kroger and the other major distributors can't outprice you. They can't buy up all the goods and overcharge the mom and pop stores and put them out of business like Walmart did. Remember how many mom and pop stores and then Walmart came along, and they don't charge, that they don't purchase their goods, they just house goods, and then you go in there for a discounted price, and Walmart and the people who run Walmart get a cut of the plug. They go straight to the plug. But now, if you have people on the lower level buying from that same plug, guess what? I'm not going across town and go to Walmart and get the same TV I get for this price over here. They're squeezing out the little man. Look at Home Depot. How many times when was the last time you walked past the hardware store? No need to, because you can go to Home Depot and get it in bulk. Sam's Club. These are the things these are the things that they're trying to do away with. See, when you are at the top, you don't care about the man at the bottom, because you don't even see the man at the bottom. How many times have you looked down at your shoes today? Exactly. Because the people at the bottom, the working class people, are literally the shoes of the country. They make sure the people at the top are comfortable. And in the event that if you ever overworked your feet, it ruins your whole body. So guess what? We are the feet. We don't have to be the feet, but what we need to do is step up and make sure everything above the feet is uncomfortable. And guess what? All of a sudden things start falling down, and then people start paying attention to the feet. Now, what I need you to do is understand that we can no longer sit around and wait on people to do things. We're going to, again, at the analogy I used last week, we're no longer going to participate with the wolf or the fox. We're not going to participate with the wolf, who we have no chance against, and the fox, who we can put him in a situation and guide him somewhere else. What we're going to do is deal with that fox for the next 4 years. But over the next 4 years, what we're going to do exactly what they did when they created the Tea Party. What did they do? Rafael Cruz is a U.S. senator, one of the most powerful elected officials in the country via the Tea Party. We no longer need the Republican or the Democrat Party, because that's what they've fooled you into believing that you are a smaller portion of the country. Now, if we are only 13% of the population of a 350 million people population, and we only make up 13%, why is it so important that you get the black vote? That means it's more of us and we have a greater impact. But what we're going to do, when you're at war, you have no friends. You have allies and you have yourself. And that's the way we need to approach this thing. Why would a system that has been working so grandly be one to done away with? Because now the big businesses can't control everything. The conglomerates can't control everything. And then we start purchasing in what we need, not what we want. Just imagine, how many times do we need to see people cut a fool the day after Thanksgiving at Walmart on Black Friday? So until we stop. How many things have Walmart done for your community? Nothing. How many things has Vizio, Sony? Nothing. Nothing. How many TVs do you need? Every year we're going to buy things that we don't need because, hey, now they have a 65-inch TV. Now they have a 55-inch TV. I grew up when a 19-inch TV was the thing to have. We have a 19-inch TV. Now we're trying to get 65-inch TVs. Why? Those TVs last a very long time. Trust and believe, I understand it. But what we need to do is stop shopping in want and start shopping in need. And at that point, it slows that other machine down. It brings it down and brings us up because now we have more capital to stand on. Another thing the Department of Justice does, the Department of Justice stops with price gouging with gas. That's one of the reasons the oil is so high. If we stop, why is it that one group is saying we don't want electric cars? You have windmills, electronic windmills that are harvested electricity so you can charge your car and the cars can go longer and longer and further and further. Why is it that they're trying to do away with that? What's the big deal about that? That's because they have a lot of their money invested in that. And the Department of Justice stops price gouging. Guess what? Housing is another poor issue. 2008, 50% of the Black wealth was taken away in 2008 with that housing crash. You had companies like Fannie Mae, you had companies like Wells Fargo, and other companies price gouging in regard, what basically predatory lending, giving you loans that they knew you didn't understand, so you can create wealth. And land is wealth. That's why, because everything that's valuable is because it's not in abundance. Now, if it's a lot more houses, that means there's a lot more wealth being spread out. But if I put you in a situation where I can get 3 or 4 years of your money, and then that bubble, that housing bubble explodes, and then the United States federal government bailed them out, i.e., former President Barack Hussein Obama. Not blaming him; he had to do what he had to do. But what we're going to do is realize that 50% of Black wealth was taken from them at that point. And guess what's happening now? You have hedge funds coming together, purchasing homes, 13,000. 13,000 homes in Inglewood, Chicago. There's a neighborhood called Inglewood in Chicago. 13,000 foreclosed homes set in there. And when you drive through there, it's this one group. I'm not going to say their names, but all I want you to do, if you live in Chicago, drive through and you start looking at the side of those buildings. Those hedge funds have purchased a lot of those foreclosed homes, and they're renting, and they're jacking up the rent to proportions that the average working class individual can't afford. And if you can't afford it, guess what? You're forced to stay there because you can't move anywhere else. And now you can't save, which pushes you back into what is known as legal slavery. Because all you're doing is working to pay bills, never helping your boat to rise. And if it rises a little bit, it lifts up their boat. This is what I'm talking about. You must put yourself in a situation too, whereas if you want a house, you need to be able to get a house. Tax breaks to the rich. They told that lie literally 44 years ago. It was called trickle down economics. We're gonna get the money to the rich people and they're gonna filter it down. Now, these are the same rich people that make athletes believe, hey, you can't take care of all your friends. You have people like this clown DJ Vlad telling Michael Vick and others, hey man, you can't take care of all your friends. Why not? You don't need to blow your entire fortune on your friends. But if you and your friends work together, all of you guys can become millionaires. You don't believe me? How about this? They'll show you what Michael Vick blew a lot of money. They'll show you what Allen Iverson blew a lot of money. But then you'll see people like Magic Johnson and Isaiah Thomas became multimillionaires when they were making hundreds of thousands of dollars. Friends working together. Mark Aguirre is another one of those friends working together. Then you see 30 years later, you see this guy named LeBron James, and him and his four teammates from high school, and 2 other guys, Maverick Carter, and I can't think of the other young dark-skinned brother, man. They're all millionaires now because LeBron James got $90 million, put them through school, and gave them the opportunity to make a conglomerate, and now they're all making money, producing movies, producing TV shows, and things of that nature. Some of them are even in management positions in NBA teams. So this is what I'm talking about. Don't let nobody tell you, well, I can't help everybody. Yes, you can. because other cultures, what they tell you, you got to leave some of your friends behind. Of course you do. You outgrow, some people, somebody real important to me told me you can only outgrow clothes. You can outgrow friends as well. I'm sorry I disagree with you, but it's okay to disagree too. You can outgrow these people because guess what? When they don't want to grow with you, it's gonna be a gap. Now, if you want to keep growing, even if you don't grow at my rate, if I grow at 20 miles per hour, if you're growing at 2 miles per hour, that means you can come along because you're still growing. We can never get to the point where we're going to exclude our friends and family members from our success. That's not, look, that's not even the way of God. That's not even the way, and we're the most spiritual community in the world. Everything we do, we reflect back to the Lord. No matter what you call them, you reflect back to your creator. So that's not the way of God. You help, you help, you help. Now, some people don't want to help, or they refuse help. And then you find yourself in a position like one Jesus Christ. I came here for my people. These are the things that we must be aware of. See, you praise the Lord, and you do all this praying and hoping and things of that nature, but you're not studying. You study to deem yourself worthy. Another thing that they're doing, they're trying to do away with the Department of Education. You got people out there saying, we don't need the Department of Education. No way. They're not educating our children. First and foremost, as I've said 100,000 times on this program, I learned how to read before I got to school. My mother and my sisters, they taught me how to read before I made any moves. So if I learned how to read before I got to school, school only gave me the tools and the techniques to enhance the academic education that I already have. Are you reading to your children? Are you sitting down talking to your children? If you don't, hey, here's a technique that I used to use. At one point in my life, I wasn't involved in any spiritual or religious situations. But guess what? My children were. The mother took them to church. And every day, every Sunday, when we came home from church, I showed them where those places that they just learned about set on the continent. And those people look like us. So again, just like I showed you the thing about Black August, these are the things that we need to be embedding in our children. Our children need these things because they don't have these things. They're not going to be successful. They're not successful. You're not successful. If you're not successful, you're a dead nation. And these are the things that we need to do. Why do they want to do away with the Department of the Department of Education? It's a failing system. It's a failing system because we're not asking for anything. We're not going to school board meetings. It's a lot of us that have disabilities that we don't have the ability to go to work, but they mean we can go to school board meetings. That means we can go to city council meetings. That means we need to be active and proactive instead of always reactive. And when you find out that they're trying to take away things like African American studies, well, if you in Oklahoma, if you are teaching history the proper way and they made things like DEI, diversity, equity, inclusion, a curse word. If you don't want to deal with those things, what you do is you continue to let these people run things. Again, as I was about to state, in Oklahoma, if you're teaching history properly, if you're teaching the ills of man, if you're teaching things like about the Tulsa riots, what happens is you could be suspended for up to 2 years and a $10,000 fine that someone else cannot pay for you. Meaning, if I find out that Teacher Smith is teaching the truth about the Tulsa riots and the Black Wall Street being burned to the ground, and I teach that, and one of their children finds that offensive, they go home and snitch on their teacher, or not even snitch, they inform that teacher is teaching this thing properly, and that's offensive to me. I could complain and get that teacher suspended for 2 years, and then HRAP comes along and say, you know what, I don't like that Teacher Smith got suspended and get that $10,000 fine. I'm going to pay the fine. The state of Oklahoma says, no, you won't. How foolish and asinine is that? Look, if you have made mistakes, if you have committed atrocities against the people, hiding those atrocities and mistakes is not going to make those mistakes go away. That's going to make them fester, and it's going to grow the hate that you're trying to avoid and the responsibility you're trying to pay for. This is what you need to understand. The former president, he wants to give it back into the states' rights. If you're not aware, that is the premise of the Civil War. If we are in this state, we need to be able to control it the way we want. We don't need any federal oversight. Well, the government is corrupt. Stop with the self-proclaiming failure. You're going to make failure part of your daily operation. Oh, it's never going to happen. And it won't. because you're not participating. And if you choose not to participate, don't get mad when it blows up in your face. You ever notice that the people that oppose this party, that party, or oppose you, they never have a plan that includes you? Oh, these people don't have plans that include us either. Well, if you're going to do something to protect rent, and black people in this country rent more than most people, who is that for? If you're going to do something to ensure that you have a certain level of diabetes, so the insulin, get this, the insulin won't bother the elders. It won't be overpriced for the elders. If we lead the nation in diabetes, who is that really for? See, don't be foolish enough to not understand what's going on. See, when you had black farmers getting beat out of their land, getting beat down to their socks, 5, 6 generations, people who were sharecropping and became landowners, and now their families no longer own that land. And all of a sudden you start having people that say, we're going to help the black farmers. And then you have people on the other side from the heritage group say, hey, we're going to sue you for helping people because that's anti-white rhetoric. Yeah. So when you put black on it, people want to sue the government and use that same Department of Justice that they're trying to dismantle to not help black people. But when you say insulin, when you say heart disease, when you say rent, there are more poor people from other communities than ours. So it seems like you're helping everybody. But if we rent more to them, you're helping us. If we are the people who are living in food deserts, have to travel to get food and then come back to our community, who is that helping? Now you're paying for gas, the overpriced gas and the overpriced food. Who's that helping? That's helping you. But when they put the back on it and you want to complain about it, don't get upset. Don't get upset because it's not benefiting you. It's benefiting everybody. But if you're at the bottom of the totem pole and people continue to push you down and never let you get up, you're going to stay there. So will I deal with the fox for now? Indeed. But if we come together and galvanize, we can stop people, and then we can stop our people from suffering. Guess what? Some of the states that want to do away with the Department of Education: the state of Texas, the state of Oklahoma, the state of Louisiana, the state of Alabama, the state of Mississippi, the state of Georgia, the state of South Carolina, the state of Tennessee, and Kentucky. Arkansas, throw them in the mix if I didn't mention that. Guess what? That's where the most black people in this country live. No, most of the black people don't live in LA, don't live in Chicago, don't live in New York. They don't live in Philadelphia. They don't live in DC. No, most of the black people live in those states that I just named, as well as Virginia. So if I'm going to mess up the Department of Education in those states, then bam, most of the black people won't have the equal opportunities. That means the guidance counselors that are needed in those states, we ain't got the money for that. We don't have the money for that. Instead of the federal government saying, y'all gonna put guidance counselors in those schools because we giving y'all the money to do it. The books are 3 and 4 years old. Guess what? You won't get you won't get the new software, you won't get the new books, and you'll get underpaid teachers. Why? Because the federal government no longer have control of that. So if you have children, if you have nieces, nephews, cousins, neighbors, friends with children, nieces, nephews, cousins, and grandchildren, you need to be paying attention, especially if you live in one of those places. I have family in each one of those places. I have family from California, I got family in Arizona, I got family in Texas, I got family in Louisiana, I got family in Arkansas. A portion of my family comes from Arkansas, a portion of my family comes from the SIP, comes from Bama, I got family in Georgia, I got family in Florida, Virginia, and South Carolina. So all those places encompass me. And more than likely, when I look at my chart, those places encompass a lot of you too. Because all of those places I named, either got a supporter or a family member in there who support it. So if you want to let the Department of Education dissipate, man, you can do it. You can fall victim of these people who are pretending that they're going to do something, never telling you what they're going to do for you. They're just telling you what someone else isn't doing for you. Then this is what's up. You can participate in this nonsense. We need to get a third party. Well, you need to start a third party the day after the election, just like they did. When they had this black dude by the name of Barack Hussein Obama become president, all of a sudden we felt wrong, and we're gonna create the Tea Party. So guess what? If in the event that Vice President Harris is elected and you feel like you won, guess what? Even though you won, be like them. All of a sudden, the Proud Boy. How is it that if this party is so horrible and they're going to do so much for us, The Proud Boys, the skinheads, the neo-Nazis, and the Ku Klux Klan have never been on the same page, but now they are. How is it that hate galvanizes before good people, good God-fearing people, good Christian folk, good Muslim folk, good Jehovah's Witness folk, and all this? Well, I ain't gonna vote. Well, okay. Well, hey, do for self or suffer the consequences. That's the line by the great, most honorable Elijah Muhammad. It is germane to what I'm talking about now. You can do what you have to do after you do this, and stop waiting. Now, I'm not gonna say any names. We all know people that show up every 4 years and they shoot down one party and they shoot down one group and they identify the problems in this group. And this woman right here is the most crooked person ever, and this man right here is the most crooked person ever. And you got a dude who's a carnival barker who lies to you every day. And when he loses, he finds a way to diminish anything someone else does. And he has a track record of hate. He has a track record of discrimination. You see, no matter how many times you hear him lie, you go, but they didn't do. Before I shut down tonight, I got a question. This is the last question I have for tonight. What have you as a group asked for? And whatever you asked for, what did you galvanize the people in your community around and make them move forward on that one issue? A lot of people are single issue voters, which is kind of asinine if you ask me. But what have you got together? Look, Dr. Buster DeForest in New Jersey, his brother been doing big things since the 70s. He rented a trailer. He's a pastor of a church. He rented a trailer, invited the people in his community, and had them come in and voice their issues. The number 1, 2, and 3 issues was a stoplight in his community because kids kept getting hit. The garbage cans. No garbage cans, so there's trash all over his community. And a grocery store. Dr. Buster DeSoris got all 3 because he's about the people and about organization and about action. Come together with your friends. All those group holiday texts, all those side groups that we talk about relationships every day. The black woman is too blah, 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 and the black man is blah, 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 blah. No more blah, blah, blah. And start talking about what your grandchildren need, your nieces and nephew need, your children need, your friends and family need. Guess what? We run it up on senior citizenship, what we need. And if you want people to do away with Social Security, explain this to me. How can Social Security be running out and every time we get paid? Some people get paid every month, even at places of employment. Yeah, some people get paid every month. It's taxes deducted from your check every month. And they go to the state and federal government. Some of us get paid every week. And it's taxes deducted from your check and sent to the Social Security every week. And some of us get paid bi-weekly. And those taxes are being deducted. How is it that all these people get up and go to work every day? All these snacks are being purchased. All this food is being purchased, and taxes are being deducted and moved into the Social Security coffers every single day, 5 days a week. Some of us get paid on the weekend, so maybe even 6 days a week. But yet still, how is it that it's water getting poured into the Social Security bucket every day, but the bucket never is always running out? Maybe we need to find out about that. Maybe we need to stop playing and start playing and start planning, and start talking to each other about real things instead of just like I did yesterday, tell everybody to watch Average Joe on Netflix because the homie, what's his name, Deion Cole, it's a pretty dope show. I'm a couple years late on it, yeah, but maybe, and I talk about those things when I rap with Mo, when I rap with Joe, when I rap with Illinois. When we rap about these things, we rap about these things. But we also talk about foolish and madness. I'm not telling you to focus exclusively and don't have any entertainment in your life. But what I am saying is, if you took 6 minutes a day out of each day and had a conversation or a thought process with you and your significant other and you and your inner circle, we can start moving forward. Everybody knows somebody who's unemployed or on Social Security or a senior. Have those people go to the city council meeting. Have those people go to school board meetings. Have those people come and do things that you need to do. And bam. And then my man said, that's why they call the black and brown communities, but now, which those not included. Thank you, my man Sheldon. You be on point like Trick Dice every week. That's what I'm talking about, man. We must make things happen. Salute to the homie Joe. It's always good to see you, man. Thank you, everybody in the chat room. I don't have on my glasses, so I can't really see anything. Your boy blind as a bat, for real. I can see like things, but I can't see words. So if you're in the chat room and I ain't say your name, salute to you. Thank you for the support. Tell a friend and tell a friend. Take that link that you got. That's what you do. Go to YouTube right now. You'll see how does it look on YouTube. My blind behind, I ain't gonna be able to see it. I'm gonna try to see it. You're gonna see thumbs up. I need you to hit that. Thumbs down. Even if you don't like it, hit the thumbs up though. Then it's gonna see share, and then you're gonna hit the share. Then it's gonna think drop down boxes. It's gonna pop up. It's gonna say copy. Send it to 3 people for me. Tell them to hit that like, hit that share. Hey, cheat for your boy. Tell them to take the little red dot and slide it over to the end, to the song Mo Star rapping, and then just let the song play, and then we'll be done. With that being said, Wrap It Up is coming back, starring yours truly. I'm gonna be talking sports again. I'm in your face. I'm in your face. I'm in your mama face. I'm in your daddy face. And your team suck. The Bears suck. Everybody suck but the Raiders. Everybody suck but the Bulls. Everybody suck but the White Sox. Tap in. I'll let your boy, me and Mo, taking over the universe. 2 fingers, 1 word. Y'all already know. I want to thank the people who support me and the people who give me the inspiration. The inspirational people. What is that? Those people are Willie D, Nori, Talia Parlay, Zoe Williams, Sway Calloway, Roland Martin, the Reverend Al Shah, Heather B, the Super Dope Brother K Kane, my personal favorite, Larry Daniel Favors, Lamont Hill, and Dr. Greg Carr on Sirius FM 126, Urban View, every morning, even though I don't listen to it all the time. The queen of this, Karen Hunter. Much love to all of y'all. Much love to my family. 2 fingers, 1 word. It's time for the homie Big Mo to take us up out here. And if you don't like what I just said, all I need you to do is...
You better shut your white mouth. I'm not kidding you.
Big Mo, we out.
We lust for that cheese, we lose sleep, dreams of that cream. We killing our teens, they dying for this American dream. Them government schemes, they turning us to hustlers and fiends. We hustling trees, them politicians smuggling green. Chasing that cheese, got everybody stressed in the streets. Pardon me for speaking freely, let it breathe. Evangelists preach the congregations out of their seats. They writing them checks for ties, now it's people can't eat. She stripping for change for school, now she giving them brain. She used to that loot, she earning, now she giving them strain. He new to this game, but hungry, so he cooking his cane. He getting that paper, but then they gave him 2 to the brain. It's rules to this game, but hustlers never hustle for fame. The spirit of greed is grimy, so we struggle to change. They put us in chains to take away our African names. But if we submissive and don't resist, then who do we blame? It's all a game, man. These Europeans thinking they claim, and you a victim of their game plan. You thinking they ain't, you thinking they saints. Remember all them niggas they hang? Killed our women and our children, all our leaders are slain. They gave us Obama, but that nigga was hoping for change. But Zimmerman is killing niggas and he free. Shit is crazy, babies having these babies and getting checked. But keep the child from they pop to rip his heart out his chest. Our rappers was leaders and now they in the booth and the dress. Spitting bullshit and making more but giving us less. They taking our sound and changing ours, dumbing it down. They taking our jobs and homes and they shutting us out. They taking our kids because it ain't a man in the house. They locking us down, but soon they gon' be wiping us out. They told our women they was too independent to need a man. They told our brother he was too insignificant to advance. It's all a game, man. These Europeans staking they claim. And you a victim of their game plan. You thinking they ain't, you thinking they saints. Remember all them niggas they hang? Killed our women and our children, all our leaders are slain. It's all a game.